Mandy, if you wouldn't mind doing the acknowledgement of country, please.
Yeah. Mid-Murray Council would like to acknowledge and pay respects to the traditional custodians of the land, the Nadjari, Naiwan, Ngaraku, Narkat, Narrandjeri and Kerma peoples of Mid-Murray lands and waters. It's upon their ancestral lands and waters that the Mid-Murray Council meets and operates, and Council pays respect to elders past and present, and let spiritual beliefs that are of continuing importance to those First Nations peoples of today. Council further acknowledges the contributions and important role that First Nations peoples continue to play within the community, and we extend that respect to any peoples in attendance here today.
Thank you. Welcome, Peter and Peter. All good. The minutes need to record that Simone is an apology as a result of her nomination for the local state seat. And Ben's apparently meeting with the minister currently, so he'll come online in a second since he's finished the meeting with the minister. When the minister says, "Can we meet at 2:00?" the answer is yes, minister. Confirmation of minutes of the 10th of November. Is everybody happy that they are a true and accurate net and for me to sign them as such? Any declarations of interest? Good. We just waited to get someone online, I think.
Yeah, we just that's
Meeting before.
Pleasant drive, Peter.
exhausting.
Well, I've had to come via the Barossa, so that's been a day on the road so far.
Why are we meeting here instead of Manham? Is there some particular reason?
I think they just try and share the love.
Yeah, I thought that might be what it
The
is.
good news is it's probably the only time of the year that we'll do it, so.
Rooms being renovated.
Are they?
Oh,
Yeah,
Oh,
so
okay.
they're having an outside door straight in, so there's direct access, not past staff.
Oh, okay. Awesome.
For visitors,
Yeah.
and just expanding the space, clearing some cupboards, making more room for attendees.
Yeah, good.
And
And all-
my furniture is being delivered today.
Oh, right.
And rather than one big
Yeah.
table, those fold down ones that can be wheeled out of the way, it's a bit more of a flexible space.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
Yeah, so that should be ready well and truly by the time this group meets together.
Very good.
Okay. Yeah,
Absolutely.
we're expecting to have the February council meeting there.
Who we got that in?
Kareem and Karen from UHY. Who were our first.
Fresh link. To attend the meeting.
When you're ready, Clive?
Okay. Okay, item 7.1, review of internal financial controls.
That's been, who I've just let in.
Okay. So we don't need to put him in as an apology. It's a quick meeting of the minister. 3 minutes. Welcome, Ben.
Hello, everyone. How you going?
All good. How did you get on with the minister?
Good. Yes, and the Premier was at Bow Hill today. So yeah, it's all happening. And Murray Bridge, they've just announced a whole heap of funding commitments for the region as well. So
So do you want to brief us at the end of the meeting?
I can. Yep. Yes.
All right, we'll try and remember to do that. Right, back to you, Clive.
Okay, report 7.1, review of internal financial controls. The report is to provide the audit and risk committee with an overview of the progress of UHY Haynes Norton development of an internal audit program. And at this meeting with the report, we've got the presentation of the internal audit financial assurance map report and matrix. Just a bit of background, UHY Haynes Norton was engaged to perform reviews on the Council's internal financial controls. noting that they're not involved with the performing of our financial audit, financial statements. There's been several steps. The first stage was to do a baseline. That was assessment, which was completed in September 2023. Stage 2 was to review the implementation of the recommendations, and that was completed in May 2025. And now we're up to stage 3 with the development of the insurance map of the council's entire risk environment, which has just been completed. Note that the attachment is dated 2025 and should be really 2026. The insurance map shows what risk areas are being covered and where there are gaps in insurance. That's being presented at today's meeting. And then in future, we've got development of an internal audit plan, and then obviously executing a internal audit program. So today we've got Corinne Garrett, the Director of Government Consulting, and Karen Peake, which is the title of Local Government Consultant, both from Haynes Norton, which are present online, to present the details of the review and answer any questions.
Right, off you go.
Can we hear?
Can you hear us?
Yes.
Can you hear?
Thank you.
You can hear us. Karen,
Yes.
do you want to just check they can hear you? Karen? Just want to check that they can hear you. Karen doesn't seem to be hearing anything. Can you hear us, Karen?
No, we can't hear Karen. Karen can't hear us.
No, I was just trying to go into chat.
I can hear you, Corinne.
You can hear me? Okay, Karen, can you hear anything? He's just sitting there.
No, I don't
All
think
right.
so.
Well, I'll go through. If we have a look at the page 7 of your Audit and Risk Committee meeting agenda, you can see that there's 4 areas that are highlighted. Now, 2 of those areas are maybe the world has changed a bit. So the one which is the climate change one, I think as we discussed when we did the workshop with you, is probably much bigger than that. And so there's probably a lot of things to unpack. Your council's well and truly aware of things that happen, such as floods when they occur. And so there's probably a lot of components, as we discussed, where that whole area needs to be kind of pulled apart a little bit and dissected into smaller chunks. So that one, if we put that one to the side, and the other one is the inability of the council to appropriately recognise the cultural diversity of your community. So that's an area that you've got on your risk register, but again, it's an area where you haven't really done anything. So we're not sure whether it is something that your council is focusing on or not at this point. So we think the 2 most important ones for your council are, I'll just get rid of that. We think the 2 most important areas for your council are to look at the project management area and to look at the loss of corporate knowledge, such as when you lose key staff. So in developing a internal audit program, we would concentrate on those 2 first out of the rank, and then work on everything else accordingly. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
So, so the next stage, the assurance map, what it does is it gives you, hey, where we know we've got a level of assurance and where we don't. So we've identified where we need more assurance, and that's where we would look at. Now, developing the internal audit program is the next step. And what we would need to be looking at to be taking that step is working out with the council administration and the audit committee of what felt like the right number of audits to do per year. So when you're looking at, I think Peter and Peter worked with me on the prospect audit committee, and we found that sometimes they were doing so many audits that they couldn't keep up within the work that came out of those audits and the improvement possibilities. And that's always a danger for a council, that you identify a whole raft of things that need to get done, but you just don't have time to address them. So that's something that we'll discuss when we come back, once we talk to Clive about everything with an internal audit plan. But that's one of the main considerations that needs to be thought about, is just what council can tolerate, both in cost of the audit, but also in just resources, not just to support the audit, but to support the improvement that needs to happen afterwards. So that's really where you are at this stage. So are there any further questions?
Corinne,
Yeah.
just my own understanding. I was looking at the report that has a list of items that are regarded as high residual risk. And it's that correlation between assurance and control, whereby
Yes.
logically, if they're high residual risk, that means that the controls are relatively weak, which means that the assurance is
Low.
relatively low. So therefore, I'm
Yes.
surprised that a few more of those high risk items don't appear on the potential audit program.
Well, when you look at their risk map, which I know we sent that as a separate document,
Yeah.
so hopefully you can see that in giant format. When we looked at that, and I'm going to have to make mine so that I can see it much bigger as well. What we look at there is a whole lot of things, not just your risk assessment, so your residual risk area there. Also, we look at what you've got in place at the moment to look at things. So we look at those that have got nothing or very little in place to look at it. The ones with the higher risk would still come back into the mix of an internal audit program, but they won't be the priority of the two that we've identified as what council most needs to look at. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
The way, yeah, it's just a way of prioritising.
Yeah, I was looking at the items on page 6, I think it is, that there's a following areas have been given a high residual risk assessment, and I'm trying to track those back through the assurance map and make sure that we had the right level of assurance, because it just strikes me as being there's a correlation there between
Yeah.
high
So
risk
if I find one of those, because I'm just going to your report.
and particularly things like failure to adequately protect the health and safety of workers strikes me as being
So
should be focusing on.
that area around that you've got a whole regime with. So do you remember which number?
So my undertaking is that you could have something with a high residual, but you've got you're trying to put a lot of things in place, but by nature it's still high. Yeah, you still could lose one slide. Yeah, but yeah, there's the two extremes where council's not doing anything about it.
Yeah.
But or council is trying to do as much as they practically can,
Yeah,
but it's still high. Yeah, so
right.
so like the, I don't know, the operations of our paddle steamers and to navigate, in high winds, or
So it's more like inherent risk rather than residual risk. It's more that they're inherently risky activities.
just by the activity.
Yeah.
Yeah, someone always working with machinery could get killed.
Yeah, yeah.
So if we go down to the matrix and you go to, say, emergency management, which starts as extreme and goes to high, it's never going to be green. It's never going to be a low risk. But what's important with that one is how many activities you've got around it to be managing that risk. So your assurance is saying, hey, you've got a lot of activities for monitoring and managing that risk. You've got a lot of systems in place. It's never going to be brilliant. And therefore, that's what we end up with. So if I look at, I'm just going to look at your risk matrix. We've got that there. Oh, I haven't actually got that there. And I can't remember what your inherent risk matrix looks like. Let me just go to that.
Yeah.
Because there are many councils where some things are never, ever going to get to a green or a low risk level.
Yeah.
But they can still have a level of assurance of how they're managed.
So if I just look at health and safety, which is on page 19, occupational health and safety, it says failure to adequately protect the health and safety of workers. So we've got a lot of green sort of assurance, business operations, all the way across there, but we still rate it as a residual risk of high.
Yeah.
So
that's page 19, isn't it? Oh, 19. Let's go to 19.
Can't see a number on it.
Oh,
Are you hearing us yet,
Karen? It's number
16, is it?
yeah, SR6. Is it SR16?
Yeah, I can hear.
SR15, sorry.
Okay. Yeah, so SR15. So that's got a residual risk of high. There's a lot of different activities that go through. So it's saying that you have forms and templates and processes, you have a reporting process, you've got the local government risk services, and so these are from your risk register itself. So those risks are what your people have assessed the risk. So they've assessed that it remains high.
Yeah.
The only areas that are potentially missing in there is, and this would happen when LGRS, LG, Local Government Risk Services, or the Workers' Compensation Scheme do an audit against you, then that one of those L's disappears. Included in an internal audit, it's not as important as the others because there's already a process behind it. But certainly, once you can get local government risk services to come along and do a specific audit on that area, and they are very specialist in that, and then that would probably give you a little bit more assurance in that area as well. Have you got anything to add to that, Karen?
I would just say that our line, I've only picked up the last few minutes. I'm sorry, I was at a different workstation and it didn't patch me in. So, yeah, very much the work health safety space. I believe that's the risk you were looking at. Is well managed as a risk environment. We're trying to look at the assurance side and give you a different contextual look at how you can approach your strategies for council business. So the work health safety side, we tend to get involved because it is quite related with the LGRS and assessments that they do. We try to add value to you by looking at other areas. So forgive me if you've already discussed this, but there are a few other areas that we could work in so that we don't cover over work that's already scheduled for you.
Yeah.
I think from the discussion, I'd probably question whether the residual risk is high or not, or whether it's
Well, these have come
medium.
straight from the
From your
council's
strategic risk
risk
register.
register. So that might be something where the council admin staff need to review their risk register to have a look to see whether they brought that risk down a bit further.
I think that would be probably a good idea, because I was a bit muddled about which were recommendations from you and which were recommendations emerging from the team. So if that could just be clarified at some point, you know, and then looking at how they go together. Yeah. And that might alter some of the ratings that staff have put on it.
Yes.
In that context, that there's lots of procedures there, therefore that lowers the risk.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, having had the insurance map done. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's probably true. Having had the insurance mapping done, it's probably time for council risk people to review the risk register, do some of the things we've done in the insurance map, change the residual risk. Exactly.
Yeah, I think that's right. Karen's right. It's a different perspective, isn't it, on how we approach these things. So, no, that's good. Thank you.
Peter, you got any questions?
I just wanted to get some clarification about what the risk that's relating to the cultural diversity of the community. What is that about? Can you unpack that a bit for us?
Yeah. So the assurance about that is that pretty much nothing happens in that space. So council's got it on their risk register, on their strategic risk register, but haven't really addressed it. It's not an area they've paid any attention to. Now that is maybe a case that the risk register is needing to be updated to council's latest activities of what they want to do. I would imagine if it's on the risk register, it's in the strategic plan, but we'd probably have to ask Clive more about the reason there's not a lot of activity in that area.
Can I just add a bit for you, just so that I can explain what we've done in the assurance mapping process? We've looked at your strategic plans, we've looked at annual reports, we looked at the business report, we've looked at policies and procedures. So we've tried to give a contextual feedback for you to say, against each of those risks, these are the tools that are operating and these are the gaps that we're finding. So I believe because the cultural risk there was one of the 4 that got picked up because it was poorly rated, it didn't have much of an assurance climate against it. We had none. So it's not picking up on my radar, if you like, for simplistically. There's nothing out there at the moment. It doesn't mean that you don't intend to do it, but just means right here, right now, for this snapshot, there's nothing really working in that risk space. So either, as Corinne and yourselves were all discussing, there needs to be a review of the strategic risk and maybe modify that risk a bit, or there needs to be a work plan put in. And again, forgive me if I'm talking over what's already been discussed. So out of the 4 that have been flushed out through the assurance mapping process, that one we felt perhaps is not the priority for us, and also the climate risk one. There's a different solution there with work that can be done with there's a national local government vulnerability programme that I know that your chief exec has been contacted by a lady called Robin Daly, and she can put a process in place that will cover off a lot of the risks in the climate mapping space. So that would leave us with looking at to add value for you, looking at project management and or loss of key skills and key workers. So that's how the assurance mapping process delivered its results.
And I'd have to say the project management area came out in the internal controls assessment as well. as being an
Wow.
area of weakness, and very much with discussions on staff. With staff, there was a lot of discussions that it wasn't an area that needed some more work.
Yeah.
All right, we'll have Minute Secretary take a note of those two matters to follow up with Clive. Any other questions?
Just a quick one on the risk appetite statement and the risk tolerance, which I think you've raised in your report, Corinne. I think internally we just need to capture that as an action, perhaps on somewhere, so that we're aware of it, and that I'm sure that you've got it on your agenda, Clive. But we just need to.
Well, if he didn't, he does now. So that's
Yeah.
right.
I think, the risk appetite is something that hasn't really been thoroughly thought about and explored yet.
Yeah.
And that becomes with the maturity of doing the whole process, I think.
Yeah. So if we can just capture that as an action that we'll need to address at some stage.
If I can add to that, I went through a workshop. I'm on the Holdfast Bay Audit Committee, and we went through a workshop late last year with local government risk services on developing appetite and tolerance statements. It was really, really good. It was a fantastic workshop. The person that ran it from LGRS really knew what he was doing and was able to explain it to everyone in the room very simply and easily. They did a workshop with the audit committee and the council together. So, and he'd done a workshop with staff separately, and it was, I would have to recommend that way to go, because it was very well done, and did really help make start to develop a really robust understanding of appetite and tolerance and moving towards a statement.
Yeah. What's your view, Clive, as to that process?
So I've just made a note to see whether we can get someone with from local government risk to do the same thing. So I'll contact Heather in WHS, our WHS coordinator, and see whether that can be. And we can work that into the process. And I think that's just really part of the maturity of risk mapping and understanding risks and making a plan for the future.
Yeah, it's a council taking this.
Sounds like a good idea. Anything from you, Ben? No, not with this.
No, I agree. I've got that as a note, that I think that risk appetite workshop. So Clive and I will contact the LGRS and get that progressed. And I've also got the action to look at reviewing our strategic risk.
All right, thank you. Any other questions? On that basis, I move the report be received. All those in favour? Thank you.
Have a second.
Yes, one you can have whichever Peter you like, because they both look at delegated authority. Right, thank you, ladies. That's all we need them for. Clive?
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Right. Bye.
Yes.
Right, Strategic Innovation and Governance Officer, Policy and Procedure Register. Are you going to talk this one, Clive?
Yes, I will. Yeah. Item 7.2, the report objective is to present the Policies and Procedure Register for the Audit and Risk Committee, and this occurs once every 6 months. Basically, it's to ensure that it's correct, current and accurate, and reflecting current practices of council, underpins and supports council's strategic objectives, and maintains compliance with the appropriate legislation. So, if the council has any concerns about the compliance or suitability of specific policies within the register, it's council welcomes the committee with any recommendations they would like to make for any particular policy to be prioritised. I actually had a look, and by my counting, there's probably about 19 policies which probably need some work on them by council. I've got to make note that several of these have been delayed due to recent reports being presented to council. An example is we've just gone through sustainability report as far as our CCTV, public Wi-Fi and public address systems. And that's one of the examples why that's the CCTV policy has been delayed. There's quite a lot which have drafted versions, and they will firstly be presented at a council briefing for initial feedback, and then later be presented to council for consideration and adoption.
Thank you. Any questions or observations?
Just two quick ones. The artificial intelligence, I know is not due for review until 2028. I just wonder if that's, given the pace at which these things are moving, I just wonder if that's something that we should review a little bit earlier.
Is there any particular area of it that you've got concerns
I
with?
know they're coming.
Yeah. So probably just to give you a bit of background,
Yeah.
council has had some initial training as far as AI and using Copilot. Council at the moment has purchased a number of limited licenses for high management to go through, and we on a regular basis have catch-ups to look at the progress of that, the worth of that investment, and we'll progress that, and we're looking at a later stage increasing the number of licenses of that, and probably at that stage we'll probably review the policy and probably the uses of it. I suppose it's been limited at this stage because there are some issues with using it and using it the right way. We're trying to set up some like standard procedures, share our experiences as far as like report writing and the pros and cons of that. So I think the policy was reasonably good at the initially. Look, we can have a look at that, and on the limited amount of time that we've kind of invested with AI, see at this stage whether we need to reflect on that and change any of the policy.
I think it was more on the policy side with what people can and can't do, and with these things moving so quickly, I just wonder whether 4 years is a little bit too long to actually.
I suppose one of the risks we see is data being used in that and keeping that within out of the public realm of AI and within our private AI realm. I suppose that's one of the biggest areas.
It sounds like you've got quite a bit going on, so and it's on your mind.
It is. So we're having catch-ups every fortnight. I'm not sure whether Ben wants to add anything on to that.
Yeah, thank you, Clive, through the chair. I think it's prudent. 4 years is a long time in this space. So I think we would reflect on the policy. We instigated it early, and as Clive said, we've tried to implement it across the organisation. And then the next stage will be to looking at what processes improvements we can do more broadly. So I think it'd be timely to review that in a shorter period of time. So we'll put that on the policy agenda. And the only other comment, sorry, as Clive mentioned, I think it was our last audit and risk meeting where we identified there was a number of those policies that were due for renewal. And so that's why there's a number that are being reviewed. And we're working through that process with elected member briefings and then reports to council to try to catch up on some of those ones that had been overlooked for a period of time.
Yeah. So just on that, when we say election 26 as being a due date, does that mean we've got to review them all before the election? Because there's quite a number.
No, so you have to review them through the chair post-election. So the statutory policies, once there's a new elected member group in, you're required to do it. So probably it's not due at the election, it's due after the election cycle. So you've got to review them once every 4 years.
Due from the commencement of the next
next council.
4 years of council,
Okay, thanks for that. Yeah, that's good. Thank you.
Any other questions or observations? Okay, if there's not, I move that the report be received. Mandy, thank you for seconding it. All those in favour? Thank you. Next one, number 3, Paul.
Thank you. 7.3 through the chair. Finance and Risk Policies Review Register is a suite of 18 finance and risk policies with the review dates that range from 269 days to 1,242 days. The next review due is for records management policy, and that's due in 269 days on the 1st of November this year.
Good, thank you. Questions, observations?
Nothing.
No. Again, I move the report be received. Peter Fairley-Jones is seconding it. There being no further questions, all those in favour? Thank you, Peter. And Peter. And me. Right, work program.
Through the chair, item 7.4 Audit Risk Committee Work Program. This report is really just to review the Audit Risk Committee's work program from the calendar year 2025. In accordance with what Government Act and functions of the Audit Risk Committee, there's various different points which are included in the report which need to be satisfied or looked at. To undertake these functions, the Audit Risk Committee developed a work program, obviously, for 2025 with the program addressing issues which fall within the activity area and also determined by the Audit Risk Committee. The Audit Risk Committee work program attachment is included for the committee's review and comment. There was 56 tasks planned for completion across February, May, August and November meetings. These have been highlighted in green. A number of tasks in the previous year were deferred from the original scheduled date, highlighted in orange, but none were deferred past the year end. So we did have some in 2024, which were carried forward in 2025, but at the end of 2025, we haven't got any rolling over into 2026.
Thank you. Questions, observations? Okay, that's 25. Can we do 26 at the same time and then we'll adopt them both together? Happy with that? Thank you. Paul?
That would be me. The Audit and Risk Work Program. The draft program is proposed here over the calendar year from January to December. Again, there are 56 tasks over February, May, August and November, with 13 for review in this meeting.
Questions, observations?
Sorry, this is the work program.
For 26.
I just wondered if the section on internal controls, we can add something about the internal audits. In terms of when the reports going to come to us, with the Hayes Norton work that's in the way. Might just need tweaking of one of them. One of the ones to do.
So the steps of creating the internal audit
program and
to be scheduled in, and we'll work with UHY when they think they can deliver those. Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Peter Fairley-Jones, you got any questions? Okay. So I move that the 25 review report and the 26 review report, 26 report be received and that the Audit Committee endorses the draft for 26. Thank you, Peter, for seconding. Any discussion? There being none, all those in favour? Right, thank you. Mid-year budget review 25-26. Paul.
Thank you. Through the chair, the budget review. A summary of amendments, operational income increases 492,000 and the associated expenditure by 440. Capital expenditure decreases 30,000 and capital income increases by 99. Borrowings increase 681,000.
Questions?
Can you just remind us, Paul, what was the reason behind or what's driving the increase in materials contracts and other expenses from last year? I mean, we were sitting about 12 million last year, and we were looking at 16 million in this budget review. That's on page, it's just the line materials contracts and other expenses. well, the chunk. The adopted budget was 13 million.
Probably we actually have to go through the schedule and actually have a look at the movements. We don't actually specify by expense type.
Yep.
But let's just do a quick scan. I think the majority of that was the transfer from Sill Road back to operational. Let me just have a look. Look, it might be best for us to just do
Yeah,
analysis.
on
And,
tax.
and we'll follow up with an email.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you.
Thanks, Clive. Any other questions? Okay, the recommendation is that the report be received. Recommend the December budget review with an operating deficit of 1.858, total borrowings of 5.081 to 5.762 million, and that the committee recommends to council the annual budget amendments to reflect the variances as summarised. I move. Mandy, thank you for seconding. Are there any further questions? There being none, all those in favour? Thank you. Right. 7.7 budget for 27 and long-term financial plan.
Yeah, just through the chair, item 7.7 is to provide the Audit and Risk Committee with a proposed timing of the process and development of council's annual business plan or long-term financial plan for the new year, and outline the proposed assumptions for the budget and financial plan for consideration. Probably just to highlight that, the assumptions will continue to be updated. Even since this report was written, the Reserve Bank has increased the cash rate by 0.25% to 3.85 on Tuesday, with even the many banks tipping a further increase once again in May. So the annual budget is a combination of council's annual business plan. The annual budget is a component of the council's annual business plan and council statement and its intended programs. And as in the past years, we will be taking any adopted annual business, any asset management plans, and we incorporate those into the long-term financial plan. These are important management tools, especially for long-term financial plan, to be used for a guide to future actions and encourages council to consider future impacts of decisions made on councils in the council chamber. So using the long-term financial plan, which spans the 10 years, we'll use the assumptions regarding economic climate prediction variables and how they are likely to impact the council's operations. And obviously the accuracy of predictions over the long term increases as we increase the number of years. So where available, key findings from the SCOSA Commission, which was for a report which was completed in February 2023, have been included as well. So a draft timetable was attached for council for committee for consideration and comments. Look, there hasn't been the assumptions that we've continued on are pretty rigorous with previous years. Council has always noted local government price index, but we've actually used CPI for our expenses. So even in that instance, we've had like a bit of a trying to control our costs higher than the indicator reveals. Obviously, we'll be looking at CPI indicators, which will be released later on, and there's this timetable in that report. Unfortunately, on the 3rd of February, I'm just looking at on the 6th of May, which is unfortunately the day before our Audit and Risk Committee to consider the draft budget and long-term financial plan, the RBA will release its May statement on the monetary policy, which will give future estimates for CPI in the future. But as always, and as per SCOTA's recommendations, whatever those CPI forecasts change prior to adoption, Council should consider those on the final adoption, even though a CPI figure in the public consultation may have differed because we didn't have the up-to-date information. So,
but I mean, the RBA has forecast now, doesn't it? So you've already got forecast.
We have, that's right.
Sort of, so that's
and as always, we'll just use the latest, which is available to us.
Yeah.
So quite open to taking any questions or any suggestions from the committee.
Are there any?
Oh no, look, I think paper covers CPI, which is obviously the key, probably the key issue, I think. And we talk about the connection between interest rates and CPI, and the impression I got from paper was that we're going to try and still second guess what interest rate movements are going to be. My feeling would be that we should probably keep the interest rate as the current interest rate. I mean, accepting that it's likely to move, but we don't know whether it's going to go up or down in the next 12 months, and certainly not in the next 10 years. So I just wonder what our approach is to that. Do we keep the interest rates as the current interest rate, or do we try and predict what's going to happen?
So through the chair, I normally look at the
You can look at interest rate futures to get a bit of an understanding.
Yeah,
of what the market thinks.
you can get like you get a prediction for like approximately the next 30. There's the futures of like 30 days. I think it's published daily, and I normally settle on that for the adoption, and also when it goes out public consultation, we'll give a bit of an update, and then also use that with the trends of where they think CPI is going and track to that, whether it's on an increasing for the first couple of years or the first couple of months, and then the latter years are normally CPI is deemed to be in between the range of 2 to 3% to 1%. So whatever the early trend is, normally we plot that in the long term. With the later years, it will go mid-range.
Yeah. Okay. So, and the only other comment I had was on the growth. That I think on page 71 we say that traditionally we haven't taken any cost increases, as even though we have rate increase of 5.5%.
Yeah. So once again, unless it's a direct cost like as for instance additional bin services, we haven't increased. So normally, in the long-term financial plan, we've assumed a 0.5% increase, but we haven't increased our expenses, and we've taken that as an efficiency as well. That kind of scales, we should be operating reasonably lean and mean, and try and absorb some of those.
I suppose at 0.5%, it's not a major issue, but if it was to get up to the 1%, you might want to think about it. What impact it will have on costs operating.
In past years, and it's been a bit distorted in the last couple of years because of the flood, and we had demolitions, and then we actually had the swing to a growth, and I think we got I think it was way over 1%, it was 1.25%, 1.5%. But that was really just when you average it out with the demolitions, it was still probably over 0.5. But I suppose the thing is we've been conservative, leaning on the side of conservative.
Okay.
And really only on our income.
I raised a matter with Clive pre the meeting on page 72 about the SWIMS, the Community Waste Management Systems, because there was a committee dealing with that, and that's now been disbanded. And I had just had concerns that there were some communities which are in deficit, and there are other communities that are significantly over what I think is needed to provide for replacement and maintenance over a period of time. So Clive explained to me that there's additional investigation work being done at the moment, and that the eventual business plan will contain the schedule setting out for the 28 that we've got, or potentially 29, where it's at and what the plan is for the future. Because I was concerned that those that are in deficit or inadequately funded aren't being caught up quickly enough, like Kernamont, and there are others that are substantially overfunded, like Walker Flat. So, we just needed to understand how the calculation was being done for replacement and what the plan is for the rates going forward.
So through the chair, we're building a model on the side, and it will have either 20 or at least 20 or 25 years of planning for the 29 different CMWS schemes. And what we've done is we're plotting in the capital renewal and looking at ensuring that each fund can accumulate enough funds to meet their CapEx requirement renewal in the future.
That's when they fall due.
Yeah.
So you maintain a bit of sinking funds or being in the accounts?
Yeah, so it's more it goes to them like using sinking fund term, they're more they're accumulating to annuity, building up an annuity fund.
Yeah.
For it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that model will probably go out to public consultation within a month or two to the CMWS chats. Yeah.
Good, thank you. Any other questions? Okay, I move that the report be received. Peter number 2 has seconded it. Thank you, Peter. All those, because you were second into the room, that's why. No, that's the only reason. There be no further discussion. All those in favour? Thank you. Right, 7.8, annual leave, the old chestnut.
Thank you. Through the chair, there is $2.0 billion in provisions for leave as at the 31st of December. There's 850,000 for annual leave and 1.2 million for long service. Both are currently trending down.
Good. Not quick enough, but it's at least it's heading in the right direction.
Trend over how long? Over 1 year?
No, in fact, there's the table that shows annual leave and long service leave. It's been trending down since June 23.
Very good. Very good. Thank you.
No questions?
I was just gonna, we should note that the other thing with accumulated leave balances is the risk of potential fraud within the organization. If people no take holidays, just something to note from the committee.
Yeah, before your time, Peter, I'd had experience with looking at it, and it's been a chestnut for as long as I've been around, which is about 12 or 13 years. Interestingly, APRA, when it comes to dealing with banks and financial institutions, will tell their members or tell the banks and that when people will be taking leave as soon as they get close to, say, 4 weeks annual and 7 or 8 years with long service leave. And I know the National Australia Bank in particular accepts the policy of negative leave so that they can keep their provision down.
Yeah.
But yeah, APRA take it as a fairly serious matter and will dictate.
Yeah.
I mean, I had a manager looking after my affairs who had to go on 1.5 years leave because he had so much. So you're absolutely 100% right. It's a risk management fraud concern for some people. All right, any other questions? Peter?
Did I see somewhere that you have increased the process of maybe paying out some leave if people want to cash out some of the leave?
You can only do that with annual leave, I think, though, isn't that right, Clive? Yeah, you can't do it with long service leave.
Through the chair, can do it with both. We previously, our policy didn't allow it for annual leave, but we put some provisions in there to enable that. But they still have to have I think it's 4 weeks, Clive,
Correct.
to make sure that they aren't using all of their leave, because obviously we know the importance of people having a break from a work health and safety and a mental health perspective. So, but we've added the ability to now pay out some annual leave.
Good. All right, I move the report be received. Mandy, thank you for seconding. Any discussion? There being none, all those in favour? Thank you. Rates data benchmarking.
That's me again. Thank you through the chair. This is in response to a query raised at the last audit committee meeting in November. There is a comparison to other councils over 2 years. It's in the rates data in thousands of dollars against the rates revenue in thousands of dollars. There is also an update provided since the November audit and risk committee meeting with the section 184 selling property. And there is a brief explanation about this, the debt collection escalation process, and there is also a range of payment methods provided and some metrics on those methods.
Thank you. Can the minutes note your comment, Tracy, that as far as you're aware, there's not a lot of noise in relation to the forced sale of properties from people who have missed their obligations?
Okay.
Which was interesting to hear, because I know it was a sensitive matter at the audit committee, past audit committee meetings. Yeah. Any questions? Thank you. I move. Peter Fairley-Jones, no. Peter Scargill can be the seconder. No discussion. All those in favour? Thank you. Right. Audit items raised during the 25-year audit.
Thank you through the chair. Interim audit for June reported 6 internal control matters, and their final audit raised 1 financial statement matter and addressed 3 previously reported matters.
Do you want to talk about the ones that are in progress anymore? Is that a no?
Yeah. Well, probably first of all, the procurement purchasing process. We did have an appointment with our software provider. Unfortunately, had an accident. He had concussion, so he couldn't travel for a period of time. But he hasn't set another date with us, so I'll preempt the contact with him to ensure that we can have a look to see what other like the next generation of their software, which can provide for that.
5.
Next one. Infrastructure, which was asset management plan, area of improvement. Council is continually getting all those asset management plans up to date. When the auditors made this comment, it was their expectations were that our asset management plans are actually updated on an annual basis. Mainly the schedule for renewals to ensure that like the carried forwards, if there's any carried forwards, then that would actually cater for that. So that's been known, that's been made notice to the infrastructure department. I must say that they're going through a restructure at the moment, and the person which is part-time doing the work as far as revaluation and the asset management plans won't be there in the future. I could be wrong, but I've taken to that there may be some new appointments in there, and then the practices probably will be reviewed with that recommendation. So with the area of taxation, I've actually my staff have to reply by Friday. I've actually looked at purchasing 7 webinars from Genesis Accounting, which specialise in local government training of taxation, GST, payroll. So once I get that answer back from my staff, so that I've told them to do a selection of 7 out of a possible 15. There's 2 packages. You can buy 7 webinars or you can buy the whole 15. So I've just asked them to what 7 they're all interested in, and those top 7 I'll then purchase, and then that allows people to attend the live webinar, and then also if they can't attend it, it's the webinars of those can be accessed for the next six months and played over as many times as possible. Or as required.
All right.
The last one. That was all the asset management plans, which were under periodic reviews and capitalisation process. I'm yet to receive any information of what infrastructure is going to put into place to kind of get a sign off from their assets when they're due for when they go from construction to live. So the auditors were looking for some final documentation, and then that would once again support finance when they start the appreciation through the year. So I suppose the past process of being is finance will look at the transactions, and when basically the last transactions figure out, we deem that it's completed, completed. So we would start depreciation from that point on, whether the auditors are saying, well, there should be some sign off by infrastructure.
All right. Thanks, Clive. Any further questions?
No.
Okay, I move that the report be received. Thank you, Peter, for seconding. No further discussion. All those in favour? Thank you. 7.11, awareness of council reports. I must say it was rather surprising when I looked at the November agenda, 735 pages, and then the January agenda, 1,019 pages. So I will no longer complain about the length of our paper because we're infinitesimal compared to the council. I was discussing with Clive today, and he's told me that a number of the reports are there for information if people want to read them, but they probably for reference rather than anything else. So I think the matters that you've raised are relatively self-explanatory. Does anybody have any queries or questions in relation thereto? No. Okay. I move that the report be received. Andy, you're up for seconding again. Thank you. Any further discussion? There being none, all those in favour? Thank you. Home straight now. 7.12. Work program 26.
So, Chair, there are 13 tasks to review. This February meeting and numbers.
Okay. Any questions or discussion?
Sorry, just on page 153, you've got the annual review of audit and risk and duty performance. Page 153 is didn't appear in the agenda.
So that was the review of the 2025 program.
Oh, the program, sorry, not the performance. So it's not the performance because we do that annual performance level annual reports. That doesn't come to this meeting.
Yeah, that's based on
I took that to mean something.
Our work program is based on the calendar year.
Yeah.
Where the other requirement of the annual business plan is based on the financial year. So yeah.
No, but sorry, I read that as being because we do an annual report on our performance. On what? Yeah. Sorry.
No, but I'll take your point that we need to change the title of that.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions or observations? There being none, I move that the report be received. Thank you, Peter, number 1, for seconding it. Any further discussion? There being none, all those in favour? Thank you. Right, other business around the table. Peter, have you got anything?
Nothing for me now.
Peter, no? Clive, have you got anything?
No, thank you.
Paul?
No, thanks.
Andy, no? Do you want to just report on that grant matter that we discussed at the beginning of the meeting?
Yes, thank you, through the chair. I just have one other point, and it may have been mentioned, obviously I was a few minutes late, but just mentioning Mayor Bailey and her state election candidacy. So she's on leave from February 1st. Councillor Warhurst is acting in the role of mayor until February 27th. Then Councillor Davis is acting in the role of the mayor after the election is declared publicly. And then subject to Mayor Bailey's outcome, then council will make a decision. Either Mayor Bailey stays the mayor, or if she is elected, then the council will consider and appoint an acting mayor up until the local government election, which will occur in November of this year. So today, the state government announced some election commitments of $100 million investment. It's called the Murray Bridge Plan, but it has some benefits for the region. And if that plays out, so first one was Metro Card. So from Murray Bridge, you'll be able to travel and the same costs associated with public transport in the city. So we were hopeful and are hopeful that that may be extended to Mannum, but that enables people to get, for the same price as you would be catching transport in the city to get into Adelaide. They're investing in the hospital, both the maternity and birthing unit, and also the renal ward. New police station, growth planning, which has a huge impact on Mannum and surrounds and the other regional towns. As you know, they're looking to double their population here, and so they're planning for that, and that will potentially have impact for the towns in Mid-Murray. I think I mentioned new police station, a permanent ambulance, and also a technical college, which is important for the region, trying to train the trainees and the apprentices, which is important for our regional growth as well. So very Murray Bridge centric, but there's benefits for the region, and my understanding is there'll be further announcements as the election comes forward.
Thank you. Anybody got any questions of our CEO? Right, and I had previously reported that the Local Government Association had held a conference for the chairs of audit and risk committees. That was so successful, they've now organised a second one, and it's on the 22nd of June, Monday the 22nd. So I'll be attending that one with keen interest. I never thought the topic could be so interesting as it was, but they did a very good job. And I've mentioned to Clive, if he wants to catch up and go through any of those papers, I'll be happy to do so when he's not working the long hours that he currently is working. The next meeting is going to be held on the 7th of May, and I will be in attendance, but I'll be leaving promptly because I'm then hopping on a flight to Rome that night, and I'm away for a couple of weeks. All right, thank you for your attendance. I declare the meeting formally closed at 3:08 p.m. Thank you and good afternoon.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Cheers. See ya.